Hi, Greg.
Hi, Tammy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well today. Thank you.
And what a fine looking group we have tonight. So, Mr. Hartley?
Yes, sir. I think Mark Showalter just joined us. I believe with Mark, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All 8 of you are there. You're live and you're recording. This is your meeting.
All right. Thank you very much, Andrew. And good evening, everybody. It's great to start a new year, and especially to start a new year with a new term of the Georgetown City Council. I think these beginnings are very important, and couldn't be happier than to welcome Willow Hambrick and Greg Hampton as new members of the council, and to welcome 6 returning council members to start 2021. We thought, even though it's a bit awkward electronically, we thought that even though we can attest to your attendance electronically at this point, that we'd have the clerk go ahead and do roll call. And if you just raise your hand, it indicates your presence so that we can have a proper roll call for this first council meeting. Tracy?
Yes, sir. Greg Hampton, Willow Hambrick, David Lesby.
Here, but can you see me? Because I can't see me.
I
We can see you.
Oh, well, technology.
Tammy Lesby Mitchell, Karen Tingle Sames, Mark Showalter, Todd Stone.
I'm
Connie
here.
Tackett.
I'm here. I just don't see my picture. Can you see me?
We can't see you, but we can see David.
Okay, let me see what I can do, and I'll be back, okay?
All right, thank you. And let me, not to embarrass her, but let me make a special mention of Miss Karen Tingle Sames' effort to be on the call tonight, above and beyond the call to duty after a little injury and some difficulty. So thank you for your effort tonight, Karen.
Well, thank you. Zoom works out well for this.
There you go. With y'all's permission, I'm going to get into the beginning parts of our meeting, and then we've got a special Zoom guest with us tonight that we want to introduce for a recognition near the front end of our meeting. But at this point, each of you should have received a copy of the minutes of our last regularly scheduled meeting of 2020. If you would like to look those over for any possible corrections or additions. And if there are none, I'd be glad to accept a motion if they be approved.
Motion.
Thank you, Tammy.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Todd. And if there are no additions or corrections, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you. And Tracy, we can recognize, I think, that neither Ms. Hambrick or Mr. Hampton were present at the last meeting in an official capacity. So I'm not sure their approval of the minutes is necessary.
Okay, and I wanted to remind you that we probably need to say the pledge.
That's why you're the clerk. And absolutely, thank you so much. And actually, Tracy, I had extended an invitation to Miss Willow Hambrick to say the pledge on behalf of the council tonight, since we're doing that in our Zoom scenario. And if we could all rise for a moment of silence, and then after that moment of silence, ask Willow to lead us in the pledge.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thank you, Willow. So, Tracy, my effort to start off the new year perfect is already shot.
Not at all.
10 minutes into the first meeting, so I can give up that little quest, can't I? Before we go into the rest of the meeting, we do have a recognition. And Andrew, are we ready to patch that Zoom link in?
Yeah, let me just maximize their screen and see them.
All right. Oh, we do have a bunch of people there.
Chief, can you hear us?
Yes, sir, we can.
All right, good.
For
We
the
can
council,
hear you and see you.
For the council's benefit, you're aware that there were several tremendous efforts through the Amen House to distribute food boxes to our citizens in the last several months. There were 3 such initiatives, I believe, Michelle, and maybe even more that I'm unaware of. But with us, with Chief Bosse tonight is Michelle Carlisle of the Amen House. And I think the chief and Michelle have some special recognition for Officer Christopher, who is standing with us. Good evening, sir.
Sure, most definitely. The Amen House has one mission, and that's ending hunger here in Scott County. In the last quarter of the year, we were given the opportunity to say yes to a huge influx of food into our county. Honestly, it was 7,800 boxes of food, but we had to say yes to those boxes at the tractor trailer level. And we knew very quickly that the Amen House couldn't handle that by ourselves. So honestly, we reached out to you, Mayor, and you said, oh my goodness, yes, we will find a way. I actually came before council and you guys approved the use of the parking lot behind City Hall. So all of you most definitely have played a part in this. But Officer Christopher stepped up and was at every single one of those events. And not only was there, but after that first one, led the events from there on after. Because of that service and because of the help of putting 7,800 boxes of food into Scott County for just a touch over $300,000 worth of food into our community, the Amen House, on behalf of our staff, volunteers, and all of the families we serve, would like to give Officer Christopher the Amen House Defender Against Hunger Award. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Chief Bosse, anything you can add to that pretty wonderful presentation?
Yeah, Michelle is very articulate. No, I think Jason did a great job of coordinating the GPD's involvement in the whole process. We couldn't be more proud of the work he did. Thank you.
Officer, anything you'd like to say to us? We're very proud of your effort.
No, sir. Just happy I can do for our community. I love this community.
Thank you for your service. Michelle, good job. If we can spring into action with an effort of this magnitude again, the folks you're with tonight, both there in the police department and on the city council Zoom call, will be ready to help. Jason, thank you so much.
Yeah, I hear there may be more opportunities coming. So it's great to know that we have the community support, that I can say yes to those things and just continue to bring food into this community.
Sounds great. Thank you all for sharing that with us tonight.
Thank you.
Andrew, will you change us back to gallery view, or does everyone have to change themselves back to gallery view?
I think you got to change yourself back. I had to do the same thing.
I just changed myself back. Is everybody aware of how to do that?
Up there if you're using a computer, up there in the top right corner of your screen, there's a button that says view. They'll switch that back to gallery view. If you're using an iPad or a phone, it may be at the bottom of the screen.
Otherwise, it'll stay on speaker view, and every time I'm talking, I'm going to be a big face on your screen, and that may not be all that pleasant. Okay, well, I knew council would want to participate in that pretty neat event. Could not be more proud of. We were so successful in the lot behind City Hall. Then we had a couple of them out at Marshall out at Cephaletta Pool. And the lines went all the way out on US 25. So Officer Christopher helped make that work for us and helped get the crowds there. So couldn't be more proud of that. Let's see. Tracy, we have not acknowledged receipt of the check register yet. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have not.
Okay, why don't we do that? Each of you, for the new council members, you're not required at each meeting to approve bills. There was a point in our past when the council actually took an action called vote to approve the bills. In reality, those bills had already been paid, had already been budgeted for and paid at the time that council action was asked for. What's more appropriate in today's times, we believe, is simply to provide you with a copy of the entire check register for that period, and then simply ask you to show us that you've received it. So at this point, if each council member could indicate if they received the latest check register. Thank you all.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. That's right, Connie. Thank you. Tracy, do we have any public comments that have signed up for this evening?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay. One of the things that I was going to mention earlier in mayor comments, but this is an appropriate time to do so, is just to express to the council that we are very aware that it is easier for us to meet as a council and much easier for us to engage the public when we meet in person and we're able to invite our citizens into council chambers to work with us face to face. We can govern better in that environment. And we recognize the limitations of this. We have seen the drop off in the number of public comments that we receive because of this format. We do offer this opportunity to our citizens if they'll register with the city clerk all the way up to meeting time. We're happy to put them on, send them the Zoom link, and they can be in the meeting with us. But we do acknowledge that we look forward to the day when we can safely get together and meet in person. That is always on our mind and something we're always evaluating as we go forward. Since we had no public comment, that's a good reminder of the limitations of this platform. Item 5 on your agenda is mayor's comments. And Greg and Willow, you will, as you attend more of these council meetings, you'll understand that sometimes when I announce the beginning of mayor's comments, we have several council members that chuckle over that because the implication is my mayor's comments can be lengthy at times.
I'm chuckling.
Yeah, but it's just a good opportunity to not only talk about specific events that might be coming up and specific invitations, but just where we are on certain issues and a way to keep the council up to date in a more conversational manner than the rest of the agenda might allow for. Also, you'll notice that we always end each council agenda with an opportunity for council comments. And and you're also invited as council members to interject a question or a comment and just about anything else we're doing. With that said, under mayor's comments, One of the things that we always do at the first of a new council term is appoint some of the committees that the council has. The council has 4 standing advisory committees of police, fire, public works, and finance. And since we've brought 2 new members on board, and we looking at people's interest, what I'd like to do is announce the makeup of our 4 or 5 standing committees that we'll have for the balance of this council term. On the fire committee, I would like to ask Mark Showalter and Willow Hambrick to serve as members of the fire committee. And each council member will recall that each of our committees is 2 council members and the mayor. So a 3-person committee that can just dive a little deeper into some of those issues. Under the police committee, I would ask that Tammy Lesby Mitchell and Karen Tingle Sames serve as members of the police committee. Under public works, I would ask Todd Stone and Greg Hampton to serve on that committee. And on the committee, I would ask David Lesby and Connie Tackett to work in that capacity again. Also, one of our toughest assignments, I believe, for council members is to serve on the traffic committee. It is some committees meet occasionally. The traffic committee meets all the darn time. And the traffic committee always has questions before it, sometimes difficult questions before it. And I would like to ask Todd Stone and Connie Tackett to continue to serve in those roles. The fact that they're willing to lift that assignment again is something that I celebrate, and thank you all for doing so. In a few moments at the end of my comments, we do have one printed agenda item, and that's an executive order regarding a board appointment. And just go ahead and preview that one for you. That is to ask Tammy to serve on our Friends of the Parks board. Parks and Recreation formed a separate 501c3 not-for-profit several years ago. They asked a couple of fiscal court members and 1 city council member to serve on that board, and Tammy's been gracious enough to serve in that capacity. So we'll do that by executive order in just a moment. But I did want to let you all know these important committees, and would be glad to talk with any of you about those assignments. Willow and Greg, I'm sure that you all will be hearing from your respective department heads. And you can get with the other council member that you're serving with and probably get a lot better background than what this brief introduction tonight is. A couple of things that sometimes just the odd little piece of good news that the council might not have seen. I wanted to mention an email that we're going to forward to you and may already have, given how efficient some of the staff is. There's a Georgetown football club, soccer style football. Georgetown, not the Georgetown football team or the Georgetown College football team, but a Georgetown football club that apparently has been very successful and very influential within its community. Was recently recognized by a major international soccer publication that wrote a pretty neat article about how much influence the Georgetown Football Club has had in this community. We'll forward that to you. It's a bit of news from a piece of our community that I normally wouldn't have heard about, and we want to share that with you. Also to share some really good news that on January the 4th, our first day back at work, at 9 o'clock that first morning, we got to swear in a police officer that was returning to Georgetown after having been here and left to go to another department. He came home. And I think the council should take note of that and be really proud of it. In that conversation, he specifically referenced the $5,000 raise that the council enabled to happen at the end of last year. So we have immediate and direct feedback that that action taken by the council and led by the finance committee is paying off. And so we welcome back Officer Popovich, and that was a great thing for us. Also, this coming week, I think it's this coming week, we will have the Kentucky League of Cities City Official Academy. Delighted to report to you that Arlene has already signed up our newest council members. Willow and Greg are signed up for that training. Also, Tevin Golden, Andrew Hartley, and myself are signed up for that training. And if any council member would like to consider attending all or parts of that, we'll be glad to get you registered as well. Felt it appropriate to just talk to the council for a moment, not in detail, but in very general terms about what our expectations are and what we're going to be facing as we begin this new term in council. 1 year ago, it was about this time in January of 2020, we presented to the council and the public our Brighter Future document, the financial analysis that really looked at our 20-year spending history, 20-year revenue history, and benchmark ourselves against a number of other communities of similar size to us. We were well on our way to digesting that report and potentially considering action to remedy some of the clear shortcomings that we have with first responder pay and first responder staffing levels. We have work to do there. And we think accurately documented exactly what our circumstances were at that moment in time. The council stepped up and raised some funds through the 911 fee and essentially, not legally, but essentially dedicated those funds to first responder raises and raises for others throughout the city. Still work to be done there, and I think that that work will come back to our focus as we continue to learn how to manage through COVID and hopefully get a more widespread distribution of the vaccine and can move our attention back to those issues that have not gone away for Georgetown. They certainly still exist. What we will help focus on, and what I want to make sure I explain to the council, are ways to deal with those operational cost issues that we have. And we know that will be done through expense reduction and expense control wherever possible. And we look forward to the opportunity of revisiting those numbers, especially with the two new council members, to go through our budget and to review once again that outside of public safety, there is no other part of city government that receives more than 8% of our funding. We are completely focused on our first responsibility of public safety, and then we manage the other costs as well as we can. But we know that we must reduce expenses if we're also going to look for other potential revenues. And we have some specific ideas in mind that we'll be working through and presenting as quickly as we can get them developed to the point where they're ready for public discussion. But that will be our pledge to you. We'll approach this both from an expense reduction point of view and the question of how do we fund our first responders beyond what our current capacity might be. The other thing, before we transition into the rest of the agenda, that I just wanted to mention to this first meeting of the Georgetown City Council is just to remind everyone that ours are nonpartisan positions. Ours is a nonpartisan form of government. And I think one of the things that this council has done well in the past is to be able to discuss issues, even difficult issues, and do it as people who love Georgetown and want to move our community forward, rather than simply partisan arguments. And those things are a part of our environment. I'm not saying that they will never be, but I hope that our considerations can be as nonpartisan as possible. I say this from the vantage point of 30 years ago, as a young mayor, Georgetown had partisan city races. We ran by political party 30 years ago. And as a young mayor, it'll surprise people today, but 30 years ago, there were so few Republicans in Georgetown and Scott County that there were never Republican primaries. To a young idealistic mayor 30 years ago, it seemed unfair to me that some members of our community could not vote in primary elections. I asked the Georgetown City Council to implement nonpartisan races solely for the reason that everybody in our community could vote in a primary. Now, the irony of this is that in the very next election, that particular scenario caused me to lose a mayor's race, but I still contend it was the right thing to do. So if I seem passionate about the nonpartisan nature of our offices and try my best to resist anyone's efforts to make our races and our jobs partisan, we've got enough to do with worrying about Georgetown. So thank you for that indulgence. And that purely is just a personal indulgence from me. Let me make sure that in my rambling, I have covered each of these items. And I have. Are there any questions over anything I might have mentioned in the mayor's report? Or are there any other community things that you would like an answer on? Good, I'll move on. So next time I bring up mayor's comments, the new council members can smile as well, because you'll know what's coming. Item 8 on your agenda.
Mayor?
Yes.
I think you all need to vote on the executive order still.
No, did I forget that too? I told them about it. Doesn't that count?
Count it as a vote, I guess.
No.
Everybody raise your hand.
Thank you for dragging me back to reality after
Sorry,
my
Mayor.
rant, Devin. We do have the executive order appointing Ms. Mitchell to the Friends of the Park Board. Is there a motion for approval of that executive order?
Motion.
Thank you,
Second.
Karen. And second, thank you. Any questions about that? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed to Tammy?
Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know if there was a conflict here with all of us working with Tammy, if whether we should either recuse ourselves or abstain. But Devin, any
Read that memo.
I read the
I already
memo.
called the mayor and said, do I need to recuse from this? Do I need to leave the room? And he said, no, there wasn't anything financial. It's not paid.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, the one benchmark for recusal is direct financial interest. And I don't think Tammy's getting paid for this gig. Okay, thank you, Devin. Are we ready for item 8, Devin? Yeah, okay. This is listed under city attorney and it's an action to sell the property that we own on Frogtown Road.
No, we're on 7, not 8.
I thought number 8 was Chase. We're on GMWSS, Mayor.
Well, I went to page 2 before I should have. Chase, are you on?
Yes, sir.
Chase, for the 2 new council members, Chase is typically a part of our meetings since the city of Georgetown owns Georgetown Municipal Water and Sewer Service. So the city council has to ultimately approve the GMWSS budget. And anytime the water board has an expenditure over the bid amount, they have to bring it to you for approval. So you'll frequently see Chase at our meetings getting purchase orders approved. What we've done by practice is, particularly on a night like tonight when Chase has a series of purchase orders that don't seem to be particularly large and they seem to be fairly routine, he can explain all of those and we'll normally take them all at once unless any council member wants to pull one out and ask about it specifically. Chase?
Thank you, Mayor, and appreciate the council allowing me to have so many things on the agenda tonight. We have 5 purchase orders, and again, to reiterate what the mayor said, I will bring to the council anything that is the annual budget, any purchase order over $10,000, and any contracts for council's consideration. So again, we have 5 purchase orders. And the first purchase order is to Clark Electric in the amount of $15,020. This is for maintenance on a wastewater pump at College Pump Station. As you can see on the purchase order information, we received quotes for a new pump, also for a rebuild pump. And we have had very good luck in recent years with pump rebuilds. The rebuild comes with a new warranty and is generally a fraction of the cost of a new pump. After we received the quote for the new pump, we also added an additional service on. That's why you can see the increase from $11,330 to $15,020. And that's why there is an increase shown on the documentation. Items B, C, and D are all vehicle fleet purchases for this year. These are all budgeted items, budgeted purchases, and this is through our fleet manager, which is Enterprise Fleet Management. The first is a new Ford F-150. This is for use at Wastewater Treatment Plant 1. It's in the amount of $29,419. This replaces a 2004 Toyota Tundra. Again, this is a budgeted item. This truck came in under budget. Second is a new dump truck for our distribution department. It's in the amount of $61,590. Again, this is a budgeted item. The budget was $85,000 in our approved budget. So this one came in well under budget. Next is a crane truck for our collections department in the amount of $103,385.45. I didn't get it correct when I sent that item to Tracy on the 45 cents, but it is correct in the documentation. This is to replace our current crane truck. The current crane truck actually will not pull does not have it's not designed to pull the current pumps that we have in a number of our pump stations because they've gotten so big that this truck will not pull them. So the new one will, and we will repurpose the current truck for use at our wastewater treatment plants. Again, this was budgeted at $85,000, so this one was over budget. And if you look at the net budget for all three vehicle purchases, we were under by $5,605.55. We actually have an additional truck in our budget, but as we've heard of, due to supply chain interruption, due to what we've been told is COVID-19, we will likely not be able to purchase that other budgeted truck this year. The automakers have just told us they don't have trucks, so we'll wait and see on that final budgeted truck. The last purchase order is for design services from Bluegrass Engineering, and this is for phase 2 of our operations center that's across the street from our administration building. Phase 1 is complete. Phase 2, the purchase order and the contract amount is $91,382.75. As you see the documentation, the proposal from the engineer was $117,800 and change. And that was, again, the initial proposal. We negotiated that down by roughly $26,000. We're going to do some of that work in-house related to the construction administration and inspection. And this was actually a budgeted project for last year that we didn't get to. So we're just now getting to it. We have to do this in order to do some department relocations in conjunction with our wastewater treatment plant project. So I just threw a lot of information at you. Again, it's 5 purchase orders, and I'm happy to answer any questions from the council about those purchase orders.
Mayor, if I could, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion for A through E.
Thank you. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tammy. Any questions for Chase on any of those? For Willow and Greg's benefit, several years ago, the city looked long and hard at our fleet needs and how we would address our fleet needs going forward. We had a lot of really high mileage vehicles, rusted out dump trucks, and it was beginning to affect their performance. We ended up going into a relationship with Enterprise Lease Management, and we actually have been successful in lowering our annual expenditures on vehicles from when we were purchasing here and there, and have significantly modernized our fleet. We're working toward, and we're real close by now. If Stacy was on, she could verify for me. We're real close to getting into a 5-year rotation on all light duty vehicles and a 3-year rotation on all law enforcement vehicles. Which is, so we've encouraged other departments to take a look at that. Water company looked at the program and decided to use Enterprise management of their fleet, but chose to do so through a purchase arrangement rather than a lease arrangement. So that's why you're seeing purchase orders for vehicles from Enterprise, from the water company. When we present them from the city, we're presenting those leases to you. You'll see those differences as we go forward.
I had one question. Chase, I heard you say that all the items B through E were budgeted. Was A budgeted as well?
Yes, ma'am, but it's not a specific operation. That just goes into our O&M budget for each department. So that will come out of the collections department operation and maintenance budget just as things come up.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. If there are no questions, other questions for Chase, all in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Thank you. Those carry. Chase.
Mayor, if I could, if you would allow me, since you got to announce a number of items of good news, if I could just let the council know that on January 4th, Georgetown Municipal advertised our for construction bids, wastewater treatment plant upgrade and expansion. We will receive and open those bids on February 17th, which will be this just marks a huge landmark in this project. And again, with the schedule to be able to receive new flow at wastewater 1 to open up for growth and not hinder that anymore as we have been in December 2023. So we're very excited about that, hitting that milestone.
Thank you, Chase. I was going to ask you about that and also indicate to the council that you were pretty excited about the number and the specific contractors that picked up plans for your project.
That's correct.
Good.
Mayor, if I could we ask Chase to give us an update on the south side sewer project going to the trailer park?
Yes, ma'am. We received and opened bids for construction on the South Sewer Extension project. And again, that's the project that will extend service to Georgetown Mobile Estates on the southern part of the county. And that was back on October 29th. That project came in significantly over our budget, our engineer's opinion of cost. We looked at that. We feel that that was due to commodity prices that were affected by, again, supply chain interruption with COVID-19 this year. What we are doing, Councilmember Tackett, that is the wastewater plant and the South Sewer Extension are two enormous pieces of our financial puzzle over the next few years. And so I didn't feel that I could make a recommendation to our Board of Commissioners because I need to know what both of these major infrastructure projects are going to cost and how we can adjust our capital program over the next 5 years in order to incorporate both those costs with South Sewer Extension coming in that much higher. So what we're going to do is wait until we receive this second project bids for the wastewater plant. We're going to look at our finance model and we're going to figure out a way that we can, whether it's rearranging projects, we got to figure out a plan for how we finance both projects moving forward. And we hope that once we know what both hard numbers are, we will move forward with making a recommendation on how we proceed with those projects to the Board of Commissioners and then to Council.
Thank you, Chase.
Yeah, Connie, we had indicated that we're holding off the successful bidder on the South Sewer Line extension until we can get the bids in for wastewater 1 expansion. So as Chase said, we're dealing with 2 known numbers, and then we figure out the best path we can to be able to get both projects done. Just to emphasize something that we've talked, Chase and I have talked a lot about. I don't think it's advisable to even consider this as an either or situation. Either this project or that one. This is a classic where we need what I call an and solution. We need this project and this project. And we'll never have a better set of circumstances to get each of them done and solve the environmental disaster that exists on our southern border. And anyway, yeah, we're going to be looking at 2 large numbers and how to put together a package that will allow us to do both of those projects.
I agree with you, Mayor. It's something that's been needed for a long time. I know that we had some funding or some financing or grant that we were going to be able to get and we were supposed to use it. Is that still available to us? Okay, yeah. That's great. Okay.
And in fact, one of the things that we approved as an outgoing council was an extension from the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority. So we're getting extensions and keeping our low interest loan possibilities alive. And we did have several functioning grants that stacked on each other to get some of the South Sewer Line project done, and all of those are still live.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chase.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all. Anything else, Chase?
No, sir.
Okay, I've been trying to get to item 8 on the agenda for about 30 minutes now, and I'm hopeful Devin's going to let me.
You've made it.
I apologize for how clumsy I've been with the agenda tonight. Council is aware, and the 2 new council members have seen that one of the biggest projects the biggest project we've ever had underway has been the rebuild of our 911 system and our radio transmission towers. We city and county jointly funded a project that I think the base cost was around $10 million, David, and then total life of ownership over 15 years was in the range of $15 million. It represents the largest capital project that the city and the county have ever done together. One of the difficult pieces of managing that project was where all the towers had to be to get the right effect from the radio system. And in our original proposal, the consultants, one of their recommendations was that we rent space on an existing tower at a pretty high rental rate, stunningly high monthly rental rates that have escalator clauses in them. And since we were looking at a long-term asset here, as we did the full cost of ownership, they approached $2 million in rental fees. So we set about to see if we could find land to purchase and then build our own radio tower and not have those long-term rental fees. And the way we went about that is we bought a farm out on Frogtown Road that was perfectly situated for where we needed a tower to be. And we just bought the whole farm. And we subdivided it and cut out the 5 acres that we needed for our radio tower and an easement. And then our intention was to sell the rest of the farm and recover our investment. We've done that. The county was our 50-50 partner when we bought the farm. We're now at a point, the municipal order we bring you tonight to sell the farm breaks us even on the land cost, and we keep the 5 acres and the easement. We then spend somewhere less than $500,000 to build a tower, and we own a 50-year asset that we can actually generate revenue from in the future. So what we're doing tonight is netting out our 5 acres for free.
Mayor, I'll make a motion for approval if it's an appropriate time to do so. I think it's an excellent deal. It has been from the start, and it's wonderful to see it come to fruition as it has. And I know you and Devin and Andrew have put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's excellent, I think.
Thank you.
Second, Mayor.
Thank you, Connie. Motion's been made and seconded. And there's some specific numbers in the MO that's in your packet, but hopefully that covers it pretty well. We're netting back out, of course, in a real estate transaction with an individual, taxes had to be paid. But net of those types of fees, we get all our money back. We'll take these sale proceeds and split them with our partners at the county. Motion's been made and seconded. Everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, then that passes. Item 9 on your agenda is a municipal order relating to human resources, and it's approving COVID-19 emergency leave policies. We've already done this as a council, and this is an extension of those benefits. And we've gone through them pretty carefully. I can explain part of them. Devin can explain all of them. But it's a method of protecting our employees if they're exposed to COVID-19 and are either ill or have to quarantine. And there are also some provisions about if they have to care for an immediate family member that may have COVID-19. What is remarkable to me, just for the council's information and to give you confidence about doing this, during the first round of emergency leave policies for COVID-19, on the folks that had to take advantage of that policy and use that leave time for COVID-related purposes, only 2% of our time was spent, that time was spent taking care of others. It wasn't widely used. It was almost not nearly used at all to take care of others. It was because of direct COVID quarantine or direct COVID positive test. So,
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have the numbers between how many employees we've had that directly have had COVID and numbers of how many have had to be quarantined because of whatever the circumstances?
Karen, I don't write at my fingertips. I'd be glad to get that. The number was, I think it will be surprising. It will surprise some people how high it is.
Okay.
But we'd be glad to get that information for you.
Great.
I think we can share stuff like that, Devin, in aggregate.
Right, just no names or anything. I do want to clarify one point that Mayor noted. So the Families First Coronavirus Act expired December 31st, effectively ending that leave. So cities had to, and cities across Kentucky did it, had to establish their own policy. And like Mayor mentioned, the one portion that we did not extend was for 50% reimbursement for or 50% salary where you were taking care of a child or a minor based on schools being closed or something like that. That's the portion that Mayor noted that was not used almost at all. So we did not extend that portion, but pretty much everything else in here was contained in the Family First Coronavirus Act that was in play until December 31st.
Thank you, Devin. The importance of that small statistic is that's what drove our decision not to extend that particular part of the benefit.
And I don't have it right in front of me, but it was extended for 2 months. Is that right? And then revisited?
I think it's March 31st. I've got it right here.
3 months.
Yes, March 31st.
Okay.
So, is there a motion for approval of this emergency leave policy?
Motion,
I make
Mayor.
a motion.
Thank you, Connie. Tammy, was that a second?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Devin about any of these details? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Then that carries. We're at that point of the agenda where it belongs to you all, as if the whole meeting didn't already belong to you all. For council comments, when we're at the table, it's real easy for me to know where to start to go around, but in a Zoom environment, I normally start on top left, and on my screen, Willow, that's you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm glad to be a part of the City Council, and I'm excited to go to the Kentucky League of Cities training. And I'm going to depend on those experienced on the council to give me lots of wisdom and teach me lots of things. And I hope I'll have some things to add to the council as well. So thank you very much. I look forward to a good year.
Thank you, Willow. David?
It was a good meeting, good start. Some good items that you brought to our attention. Certainly appreciate that. I'll just leave it with Karen. I don't know what happened, but I wish you the very best. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to let us know. I know a lot of people are under the weather right now, and be glad to help out if you want anything.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Tammy.
I just wanted to say thank you to Chief Colson and to Devin and Andrew for, I had a couple of incidents come up this week with some constituents who one had a fire hydrant problem and another had a sidewalk issue, and the quick response from both parties, all three parties, is much appreciated. It helps to be able to get right back to citizens when they call in. So I think that's what they're looking for from their council, and I appreciate the help.
Thank you. Mark.
To Mr. Hampton and Mrs. Hambrick, welcome. To Karen, I hope you have a safe and speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Greg.
Like Willow, I want to, thank everyone for making me welcome to the first meeting of the City Council for 2021. Very happy to be here. I look forward to working with everybody. I'm going to lean on most everybody to, I've got a lot to learn, and certainly look forward to the year ahead, and working with you as well, Mayor. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Greg. Karen.
Welcome to the two new council members. Glad to have them on board with us. And thank you all for the well wishes. Yes, I have experienced now our EMS and was taken in ambulance to the hospital. And so they are outstanding, very caring, very compassionate, very gentle under the circumstances of what happened. So I appreciate that and thought about that. Was proud to have funded them and been a part of getting the EMS that we have here, but the staff is outstanding. They were excellent. I can't say but complimentary things about them. So it made me proud that they're in our community. So good luck with everybody as we start this new year, and things will look up and be promising, and they'll all come together. So, and thank you all for your prayers and well wishes.
Thank you. Connie.
Hey, good meeting tonight, Mayor. Good start of 2021. Welcome, Greg and Willow. Glad you're a part of our council. I just want to let you know that I was new at one time as well, and there are people out there that will help you. Just reach out and ask those questions. The staff is great. Devin and Andrew are wonderful. So is the mayor. If you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to ask. And I'm looking forward to 2021 and some good things for our community. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Connie. Todd.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I'm good. Welcome, Greg and Willow, and good luck on a speedy recovery, Karen.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Eddie, thank you for being on the meeting tonight. We didn't have to call on you, but thank you for being on the screen. Andrew, is there anything else that we need to cover this evening?
I think you've covered it. I will take the opportunity to put one more plug in for the Kentucky League of Cities City Officials Academy. I think it's very worthwhile for everyone's time. I've been with the city now for 7 years, and I think this will be my third City Officials Academy. There's no one who couldn't benefit from hearing that information, hearing it again. So I'll put that plug in. I think we're all done.
All right, folks, thank you very much. If there's nothing else to come before the council, we will stand adjourned. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.